Honeybees by Jill Esbaum. Look, a honeybee. Buzzing through a warm afternoon, a little worker bee dips into colorful flowers again and again and again. A honeybee visits hundreds of flowers a day, tasting each one with its feet. From each flower she collects a sweet liquid called nectar. She sips the runny nectar through her straw-like tongue and stores it in a special just-for-honey tummy. The tongue is called a proboscis. Flower pollen dusts the bee like fluffy golden snow. Every once in a while she stops, rolls the pollen into balls, and stuffs these into tiny sacs on her back legs. Honey, I'm home. When the bee is so heavy with nectar and pollen she can barely fly, she heads home to the hive. Thousands of other workers are arriving home too. Inside the hive, the air hums with excitement. Bees bustle to and fro. The whole colony works together for its queen. As long as she is safe and healthy, so is the hive. Worker bees bring her food and carry out her waste. They fan her wings to keep the hive cool. One of the most important jobs in the hive is caring for the queen's many eggs. A hive is made up of many honeycombs, and that's a picture of what a honeybee egg looks like. Through spring and summer, she lays up to 2,000 eggs per day. She wiggles her abdomen down into a honeycomb and drops each egg into its own six-walled cell. An egg's shell melts away, and hello, larva! The chubby baby looks nothing like a bee yet. For 3 days, the larva is fed a milky mush called royal jelly. Then it's switched to a honey pollen mixture called bee bread. Each larva weaves a cocoon inside. Its body keeps growing and changing. Finally, a honeybee chews open its cocoon and climbs out of its cozy cell. Ta-da! It can crawl. Honeybees keep their hive clean and neat, so the new bee's first job is to clean her own room. Hives can be found in unusual places. Many honeybees live in human-made hives. A beekeeper opens a hive to remove part of the sticky golden honey. Yum! Bye-bye, Buzzy. Hope you find a lot of lovely flowers. Busy as a bee. There's plenty of work to do in a honeybee's hive. Every worker does each of these jobs in order, moving from one to the next every few days during her 6 weeks of life. They clean out their cells. They find the queen and larva. Worker bees are always female. Each hive has only one queen bee. She is the only one able to lay eggs. The eggs are as tiny as the very tip of a brand new crayon. What is one chore you can do at home? Pick one of these things. Build and repair honeycombs, make honey from nectar, guard the hive entrance, fly out to collect nectar. I think it's you can make honey. Bees make honey from flower nectar. They store it in the topmost cells of their honeycomb. They eat both honey and pollen. And one day, a worker bee brings home enough nectar to make only a tiny bit of honey, but a hive might have 50,000 or more bees in it. Working together, they can make as much as 2 pounds of honey a day. That's enough honey to fill 2 jars. The bee is key. When bees fly from flower to flower, tiny grains of pollen stick to their feet, then get dropped off on another flower. This is called pollination, and it's what helps flowers make more flowers. Bees pollinate many food crops, too. Without bees, we couldn't enjoy things like apples, blueberries, cherries, cucumbers, strawberries, or melon. Bees are important to many ecosystems. You can help them by planting nectar-rich flowers like daisies and marigolds and blue flowers like salvia. Bees seem to like the color blue. You might also plant any of the fruits or berries mentioned above, as well as broccoli, pumpkins, and tomatoes. On this next page, there's the maze. Help the honeybee find its way back to the hive. You can use your finger to trace the bee's path to the hive. There's also a link on the slide where you can click and print out your own maze. Waggle dance. When a worker bee returns to the hive, it sometimes does a waggle dance. The special wiggle-waggle moves are actually directions that show other workers where to go find the flowers. Can you look at this picture and waggle dance like the honeybee?